Hello guys, welcome back. Today's topic is 10 best cities in the UK to visit. The UK is not short on incredible cities to visit. England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland have fascinating cultures that you can experience through their cities' architecture, attractions, and hospitality. We'll cover the finest in the United Kingdom, from major cities like London and Edinburgh to lesser visited cities like Inverness, Bristol, and York. When planning a trip to the United Kingdom, these are the places that you should be adding to your itinerary. Number 1. London, largest city. As the capital of England and the country's largest, London was always going to be on this list. It is one of the greatest arts and cultural hubs in both Europe and the rest of the world. London is easily the most popular and famous to visit in England, and for many good reasons. London is full of attractions, including historical sites, landmarks, art galleries, theatres, and museums. Your days visiting London will be varied and action-packed. For example, you may spend a morning at the Natural History Museum, an afternoon grabbing lunch and shopping at the market in Camden Borough, and an evening watching a West End show. If you are a first-time visitor to the UK, prioritize a visit to London. Not only does the city give you a broad impression of England, but London is also very accessible. You'll be bowled over by the number of things to do and see. Just do some research and choose where to stay carefully beforehand to maximize your time when you arrive. If you need some extra guidance, you can read our 3-day itinerary for more information. Number 2. Manchester. Manchester is one of the best cities in northern England. Its flamboyant urban area and nightlife make it popular with university students, and visitors can expect a fun, friendly atmosphere. Manchester was massively shaped by the Industrial Revolution and is widely claimed to be the world's first industrial city. Manchester was once famous for textile production, the wealth from which was reinvested in the city's development and into wealthy families. However, Manchester has outgrown its revolution associations nowadays and is now known as an entertaining weekend getaway and sought-after place to live. You can learn about the Industrial Revolution at Manchester's Science and Industry Museum. We'd recommend also allowing time to visit the Manchester Art Gallery and the National Football Museum. The Manchester Art Gallery showcases artworks from over 6 centuries, and the Football Museum is a must for Premier League fans. In the evening, head to the Gay Village or Spinningfields for a few drinks at the best pubs and clubs. The Manchester dress code is retro and indie regardless of the venue, so come prepared with your trendiest outfits. Number 3. Leeds. If Manchester is one of the greatest cities in northern England, Leeds is not far behind. Like Manchester, Leeds was also massively influenced by the Industrial Revolution, and you'll notice converted mill and factory buildings in many of the nearby areas. Leeds is the third biggest in England and is known for its hospitality, small city centre, and proximity to the Yorkshire Dales. Leeds is favoured amongst university students, meaning you'll enjoy a friendly atmosphere and lots of cheap eateries. The centre is small, easily walkable, and perfect for a weekend of shopping, wining, and dining. We'd recommend allowing time to take a day trip to Yorkshire Dales National Park, visit the Industrial Museum, and Kirkstall Abbey. If you want a drink, don an embarrassing fancy dress costume for the Otley Run, a famous local pub crawl, or head to the calls for photogenic venues along the river. Number 4. Edinburgh. Edinburgh is an amazing city to visit. As the Scottish capital, it attracts millions of tourists and, honestly, you should join the crowd. Edinburgh is famed for its old town, which has those dreamy cobbled streets lined with independent shops, cafes, and restaurants. Some of the buildings in the old town are 500 years old, and the architecture gives the neighbourhood a time capsule effect, especially with Edinburgh Castle and the sound of bagpipes in the background. Edinburgh Castle is easily one of the best things to do, although you should also visit the National Museum, climb the Scott Monument, and walk the Royal Mile. Edinburgh excellently encapsulates the Scottish culture, history, and identity. As a first-time visitor to Scotland, we'd highly recommend visiting Edinburgh. Number 5. Glasgow. Of course, just because Edinburgh is fantastic doesn't mean you should skip visiting Glasgow. Glasgow is a great city to visit, and you'll find lots of things to do and see. It has a slightly more modern feel than Edinburgh and lots of public green space to enjoy in the summer. Of course, Glasgow has 2 very passionate rival football teams, and fans should try to attend a Celtic or Rangers game to experience the sporting passion firsthand. You should prioritize visiting the Glasgow Necropolis, People's Palace, Kelvingrove Art Gallery and Museum, and Pollok Country Park. Pollok Country Park is particularly popular amongst tourists wanting to see Highland cattle. The park has a herd that lives on site, so note it down if you want to meet one. Glasgow is widely known as the country's second city, but we think it ranks just as highly as Edinburgh. Number 6. Belfast. The Northern Irish capital is well deserving of a place on our list. Belfast has a lot going for it. Belfast is easily added to a trip to England. You can catch a ferry from Liverpool or a domestic flight from any UK airport, sometimes costing less than $15 when booked in advance. Belfast has a vibrant feel, with plenty of new developments like Castle Court Shopping Centre. However, there is also a lot of history. You can learn about the Troubles by touring Belfast's political murals, visiting the Titanic Belfast Museum, touring Crumlin Road Jail, or walking up to Stormont, the home of the NI government. From the city, there are hundreds of things to do, including visiting the Giant's Causeway and the Mourne Mountains. Belfast is a fantastic base if you want to experience Northern Ireland for the first or millionth time. Number 7. Bristol. While not one of the most famous cities in Great Britain, Bristol is easily one of the best cities for tourists. Over the years, Bristol has transformed from a port town to a thriving city, highly sought after to visit, study, and live. Bristol is located along the Bristol Channel, an inlet from the Atlantic Ocean, so it is close to beaches should you want to sunbathe or swim. However, most impressively, Bristol is divided by a deep river gorge. Visitors entering Bristol cross over suspension bridges, making a scenic and memorable start to a holiday. Bristol's attractions include the SS Great Britain. SS Great Britain is an 1843 restored passenger liner. The ship is revered as the world's first great ocean liner and has 2 museums, refurbished ship areas, and dockyards. The ship also houses many artifacts from its sister ship, the Royal Charter, which sailed around the world before her shipwreck. For more naval history, you can stop by the nearby Underfall Yard Visitor Centre to visit its popular maritime museum. Bristol is a fascinating place in England for those interested in maritime stories. Number 8. Liverpool. Liverpool is cool. Birthplace of the Beatles, dockside bar hopping, and the home of the huge Liverpool Cathedral, Liverpool is easily one of the most entertaining cities in England. If you are travelling north of London, we recommend visiting Liverpool. The Liverpool atmosphere is down to earth and friendly, and it is the sort of place where you could go for a drink alone and leave to the next bar with 20 new friends. Visiting the Beatles story is a number 1 recommendation of things to do in Liverpool and is a world-famous attraction. But the British Music Experience, World Museum, and Port Sunlight Museum are all also worth visiting. Music is at the heart of Liverpool's identity, so we highly suggest watching some live music at Cavern Club during your stay. Cavern Club is a popular venue in Liverpool and specialises in tribute performances that run day and night. If you want to experience music culture in England, look no further than Liverpool. Number 9. York. Unlike Liverpool, York is a quiet city surrounded mostly by country towns and villages. It may not be a popular destination for first-time travelers to the UK, but York does provide an idyllic introduction to England. York is in the county of North Yorkshire and, despite its city status, has more of a town feel than a metropolitan one. York has incredible architecture, with its walls dating back to the 13th century and its narrowing shopping street, the Shambles, widely hailed as one of the best preserved medieval streets in Europe. York Minster Cathedral is beautiful to visit, while the York Dungeons and Jorvik Viking Centre are immersive historical attractions to enjoy. Since York is located near both the Yorkshire Dales and North York Moors National Parks, we'd suggest allowing time for a day trip in your itinerary. For a laid-back trip to Britain, York provides a relaxing experience with world-renowned, stunning medieval architecture. Number 10. Newcastle upon Tyne. Newcastle is a famously fun city with outrageous nightlife and plenty of culture. Newcastle is split in 2 by the River Tyne, with several footbridges and suspension bridges connecting either side of the city. Metropolitan but pretty, especially at night by the river, Newcastle has a lot to offer. The city's nightlife reputation was rocketed to fame by the reality TV program Geordie Shore, and it is also a popular choice amongst university students. The city's popularity is well deserved, as you'll find many pubs, clubs, and bars. However, the city isn't just where you go for a party in the north of England. Newcastle is fantastic for tourism, with lots of museums and art galleries. You should prioritize visiting Great North Museum, Hancock, Laing Art Gallery, and Discovery Museum. Newcastle Castle is also a great attraction to visit and doesn't hold back on telling some of the most gruesome stories from history in England.